The conference room was silent except for the hum of the projector. Marcus sat near the back, arms crossed, listening to a consultant explain a new approach to the company's stagnant marketing strategy. He had heard variations of this before. He had been in the industry for 12 years. He knew what worked. When the consultant finished, the manager asked for thoughts. Marcus raised his hand. "With respect," he said, "I've seen this kind of thing before. It sounds good in theory, but it doesn't hold up in practice. We tried something similar 3 years ago. It didn't work." He saw a few nods around the table. People appreciated confidence. The consultant smiled politely and moved on. Marcus felt satisfied. He had protected the team from wasting time. That night, walking home, he replayed the meeting. He had been confident. He had been right. And yet, something gnawed at him. He could not name it. Marcus was good at his job. He had been at the same company for 8 years, had worked his way up to senior manager, and was respected by his colleagues. He knew the industry inside and out. He had seen trends come and go. He had built his reputation on being the person who knew what worked and what did not. But lately, he had noticed something unsettling. The younger hires were moving faster than him. They picked up new tools with ease, experimented with strategies he had never heard of, and seemed to see angles he was missing. He told himself it was inexperience. They did not know the risks. He did. Experience was an advantage. Except it did not feel like an advantage anymore. Felt like a weight. A few weeks later, Marcus was assigned to work on a cross-functional project with a woman named Priya. She was a decade younger, had only been with the company 2 years, and spoke with a calm certainty that made him uncomfortable. During their first planning session, she suggested an approach he had never considered. His instinct was to dismiss it. He opened his mouth to explain why it would not work. But something stopped him. He remembered the consultant's presentation, the satisfaction he had felt at shutting it down. He remembered the gnawing feeling that had followed him home. Instead of dismissing Priya's idea, he asked a question. "Why do you think that would work?" She explained. She had studied a similar case, tested the approach in a small pilot, and had data to back it up. She spoke with clarity and humility, not once trying to prove she was smarter. Marcus listened, and for the first time in years, he heard something that challenged his assumptions. That night, he sat in his home office, staring at a shelf of marketing books he had read years ago. They were dog-eared, highlighted, familiar. He had relied on them to build his career. But when was the last time he had opened one? When was the last time he had learned something that made him rethink what he knew? He thought about Priya's calm confidence. It was not the confidence of someone who had all the answers. It was the confidence of someone who was still curious, still questioning, still open. Marcus pulled down a book he had not touched in 5 years. He opened it to a chapter he had skimmed before, a concept he had dismissed as impractical. This time, he read it differently. He did not read to confirm what he already believed. He read to understand. And for the first time in a long time, he saw something new. The next day, Marcus asked Priya if she would walk him through her approach in more detail. She seemed surprised but agreed. They sat in a small conference room, and she explained the principles behind her method, the thinking that led her to it. He asked questions. He did not pretend to understand when he did not. He let himself be the one who was learning. It was uncomfortable. His brain kept offering shortcuts, ready to jump to conclusions he had formed years ago. He pushed them aside. He stayed with the discomfort. When the conversation ended, Priya said, "I appreciate you being open to this. A lot of people in your position would have just told me I was wrong." Marcus smiled. "A lot of people in my position would have been wrong." The weeks that followed were a shift he had not expected. He started asking questions in meetings instead of offering answers. He read articles from outside his industry, looking for patterns, not just facts. He let himself be confused. He let himself be wrong. Felt strange. He had spent years building a reputation as someone who knew. Now he was intentionally stepping into not knowing. And the surprising thing was that people responded differently. Instead of looking to him for answers, they started bringing him problems. They trusted him not because he had all the answers, but because he was willing to figure things out. One afternoon, his manager called him into her office. "I've noticed something different about you," she said. "You're not just managing anymore. You're leading. What changed?" Marcus thought about the question. He could have talked about the books, about Priya, about the consulting presentation he had dismissed. But the truth was simpler. "I realized my cup was full," he said. "I had to empty it to make room for new things." She looked at him curiously. He explained, "I spent years filling my head with answers. I thought that was success. But I stopped being curious. I stopped asking questions. I started protecting what I knew instead of looking for what I didn't. Once I saw that, everything changed." A year later, Marcus was leading a team that had piloted a new strategy, one that combined his years of experience with fresh approaches he had learned from Priya and others. The results were better than anything the company had seen in years. When the board asked him to present the strategy, he did not stand up and declare he had all the answers. He walked them through the questions they had asked, the experiments they had run, the failures that had taught them. He was humble, curious, open. They trusted him more for it. After the meeting, a young analyst approached him. "How did you learn to think like that?" she asked. "To stay open, even when you're the one in charge?" Marcus smiled. He thought about the cup. He thought about the consultant he had dismissed, the gnawing feeling that had followed him home, the conversation with Priya that had cracked him open. "I learned that being smart isn't about having answers," he said. "It's about being willing to question the answers you already have. I had to empty my cup, and I have to keep emptying it every day, because the moment I think I know enough, I stop growing." Here is what Marcus learned, and it is worth holding on to. Your mind is like a cup. Every belief, every assumption, every "I already know this" slowly fills it up. First, it feels powerful. You feel informed. You feel certain. But over time, something strange happens. The fuller your cup gets, the harder it becomes to pour anything new into it. Ideas hit the surface and spill over. Nothing sticks. Nothing changes. And you do not even realize you have stopped growing. Because a full cup looks like confidence, but it behaves like limitation. Real intelligence is not about having answers. It is about staying curious. It is about the willingness to say, "I do not understand this yet." That word "yet" is where growth lives, because "yet" means you are still in motion. The moment you stop saying "yet," you stop moving forward. Most people mistake familiarity for understanding. They hear an idea that sounds like something they have heard before, and they stop listening. Not because the idea is useless, but because their mind is already full. And the dangerous part is they think they are still learning. They are not. They are protecting what they already know. Growth does not come from what you already agree with. It comes from what challenges you, from what feels unfamiliar, from what makes you pause and rethink. And if your mind is always filtering new ideas through old beliefs, you are not learning. You are protecting your identity. And protecting your identity feels good in the moment. But long-term, it is the fastest way to stay stuck. Now look at your own cup. The things you think you know. The opinions you hold without questioning. The topics you stopped exploring because you decided you understood them. That is not wisdom. That is the rim of your cup. And the rim is where growth ends. You do not need to know more. You need to question what you already know. You need to stay curious enough to let new ideas in, even when they are uncomfortable, even when they challenge your identity, even when they make you feel uncertain. Because the world does not wait for you to catch up. It moves whether you are ready or not. The real advantage is not who knows the most. It is who can adapt the fastest. And adaptation starts with one thing: staying open. Marcus did not become a different person overnight. He became different the moment he admitted he did not have all the answers. He became different the moment he started asking questions instead of defending his position. He became different the moment he emptied his cup. And that is where everything begins. Not with more knowledge, with curiosity, with the willingness to be wrong, with the courage to say, "I do not understand this yet." If this made you see something in your own thinking, do not let it pass. The next time you feel the urge to dismiss an idea, pause. Ask yourself, is my cup too full? And if it is, empty it, just enough to let something new in. And if you want more stories that help you keep growing, hit like and subscribe, because the people who win are not the ones who know the most. They are the ones who never stop learning.